Hariam, dear students. Hope you have followed and understood the first part of A Gift of Chapels. Now, let us look into the second part of this lesson. Before entering into the second part, let me explain you the previous story in brief. Okay? The characters of this story are, we have already discussed these characters in the previous class itself, isn't it? So the characters of this story are Mridu, Thapi, Tata, Rukmani, Lalli, Ravi, Meena and Music Master. So Mridu, Tapi and Tata, those who used to live in Chennai, they have come to Rukmani Amma one afternoon to meet Lalli, Ravi and Meena, who were cousins of Mridu, isn't it? And when Mridu came to this Ravi, Meena and Lalli's house, Ravi, he had shown her a small kitten in a backyard of their house where they have kept it in a football sack, and they started feeding the kitten with a milk which was poured in a coconut shell, and this kitten was placed under the bitter berry bush in the backyard, and they were taking care of it so secretively because if the party of Ravi and Meena, if she come to know about that the kitten is there in the house, definitely she will live to their Padu Mama's house. Padu Mama in the sense uncle of Ravi and Meena. So they have kept about the kitten, they have kept the kitten very secretly under the bitterberry bush, and they started taking care of it. Even to get a cup of milk for this kitten was very tough task for them, because when Ravi had gone into the kitchen to get the milk, Pati had seen it, and he was almost was in a terrified manner that what to say now, and he said that he was feeling hungry, and so he had bought that glass of milk or the tumbler of milk to drink, and Pati asked him to give the glass after drinking so that she will clean it. But our very intelligent Ravi, what he said is, Mama, Pati, no need of troubling you. I myself will clean the tumbler after drinking. By saying that, he immediately ran into the backyard and poured the milk in the tumbler into the coconut shell and gave to kept in the kitchen by washing it. So in this way, they were taking the care of this kitten in a very secretive way, and as well as Ravi, he had named this kitten as a Mahendran, and the name was really very typical one, because we all would like to have a pet in our home, especially that might be a cat or a dog, and we would like to have very small and cute names, isn't it, like Snowy or a Blackie or a Leo, in this way different names. But he named it as a Mahendran, and he had said a huge story for that also. Hope you have remembered this story. That is, Mahendran is none other than he is the descendant of from the, what do we call, dynasty of a Pallava dynasties family. He was a descendant of, and he also said that the full name of this Mahendran is Mahendra Pallava Punnai. This is the full name of our kitten, he said. So you can call in short it as a MP Punnai. Mahendra Pallava Punnai. In short, he is calling it as MP Punnai, because he said that this cat or this kitten is not an ordinary kitten. It is the descendant of the dynasty of Pallava king, and as well as the emblem of Pallava dynasty was a lion, and its fur is almost like the fur of the lion. In that way, it was so good, and it is almost it belonged to the family of the Pallava dynasty's emblem, lion, and also he had connected it to the Egypt cat god, because Egypt cat god, this cat god had traveled in a big ship at the time of Pallava dynasty in a disguise, and because of all this, finally his intention was to say that this cat is a not an ordinary cat, and it is of a from the Pallava dynasty, or from the Egypt cat god. So he is the descendant of so and so family. In that way, he started telling about all the cacanable stories about the kitten, and meanwhile they had heard some screeching sound which was coming from the upstairs. It was nothing but Lally learning music, isn't it? So with this we have ended the previous part of the story. Now let us get into the further part of the story. Hope you will listen it very carefully. Before entering into the lesson, do read the textbook and then follow, then only you can easily understand the video. When Mridu and Ravi Meena have heard the voice from the room of this Lali that she was learning, immediately Mridu kept up to the window. You can see here the three children, Mridu, Meena and Ravi, they were peeping through the window what is happening in the room. So here Mridu kept up to the window. Lali was sitting in a little distance away, awkwardly holding her violin and bowstring, her elbows jutting out and her eyes glazed with concentration. So here in the picture you can see she was really sitting in a very awkward position, because any violinist who would like to learn or play violin, the way of sitting or the way of handling the violin is totally different from what here the Lali is handling. Because you can see here the music master how perfectly he was sitting and he was handling, but Lali's way of handling the violin and as well as way of sitting was also totally different. That, see, awkwardly holding, that means in a very different way, no, abnormal way you can say. So she was handling or holding the violin in an abnormal way. And even bowstring is nothing but the stick in her hand to play the violin, and her elbows jutting out and her eyes glazed with concentration. So here you can see she was totally concentrating with her eyes wide opened, and she was trying to play the violin. In front of her, with most of his back to the window, was a bony figure of the music master. So they could see the music master from back, because they are at the back of music master. Hope you can understand, children. See the picture here clearly. The children were peeping into the room and they were at the back of music master, so they couldn't see music master's face, but they could able to see him from back. So he was almost like a bony figure in the sense he is very thin. You can say he is very bony figure in the sense very thin. See here, bony figure in the sense very thin. You can easily identify him here. He was very thin, and he seemed to be almost, you can say, sitting on the floor. He had mostly bald head with a fringe of oiled black hair falling around his ears and an old-fashioned tuft. So here they are describing music master. So how is he? He is totally a bony figure and he is having a bald head. Bald head, what do you mean by bald head? There won't be any hair on the head. You might have seen many people with a bald head also, isn't it? So here the music master is with a bald head and with a fringe of oiled black hair falling around his ears. So little hair was there around his ears. So this hair was totally oiled. The hair was oiled. That means he applied a lot of oil to the hair, and he was wearing a old fashioned tuft in the sense at the back they will have a small what do we call a tail, or you can say even how the Brahmins they wear that tuft. In Telugu we call it as a pilaka, isn't it? In the back these Brahmins they'll be having. You can even see here in the picture he was having a tuft at the back. Okay, old fashioned tuft it is called as. So how here he is looking, one more time, just let us have a quick look at him. So he was almost looking like a bony figure. That means he was very thin, and he was having a bald head, and lot of oiled hair was tied together in the old fashioned tuft. So in this way they have described the music master, and moreover he was also wearing a gold chain gleamed around his leathery neck, and a diamond ring glittered on his hand as it glided up and down the stem of the violin. So he was also, not only this, he was also having a gold chain in the neck and also diamond ring to his hand. When he is playing this violin, that what do we call that ring, it was just glittering in the sense shining, you can say. Okay, so and on his sorry, a diamond ring glittered on his hand as it glided up and down the stem of the violin. Glided in the sense, Seema, I have given you here the meaning. Glided in the sense moving along smoothly. So when this music master was playing this violin, his diamond ring, what he was wearing to his finger, it was also moving very smoothly along with the violin stick, whatever he is using. Okay, and a large foot stuck from out beneath his gold bordered vesty edge, and he was beating time on the floor with the scrawny big toe. So when he was sitting cross-legged on the floor, the children could see that a large foot, one of his leg, has come out of his vesty edge. Vesty in the sense dhoti. In the olden days, music teachers most probably they used to have this kind of a dressing style. Almost they used to wear dhoti and cotton dhoti dress, and they used to have their hair tied in the form of a tuft and a gold chain, and in this way they used to look very traditionally. So in the same way, when he was sitting on the floor with his cross-legged, one of his foot was visible to these children. It was just out of his vesti. Vesti is nothing but dhoti. Okay, pancha we can call it in Telugu, isn't it? And he was trying to beat with his toe onto the floor according to the musical notes. So this was the appearance of both music master and as well as our Lily from the window. Who is seeing through the window? Mridu, Ravi, and as well as Meena. Three of them were peeping from the window towards this Lalli and music master. And the music master started playing some notes. So he played few notes. The music master started playing, and Lalli stumbled behind him on her violin, which looked quite helpless and unhappy in her hands. You can see here, like just I have given you one sample picture, a girl playing a violin, and it was almost making a different noise. What a difference! There's a lot of difference between the music notes of our music master and as well as the Lallis, and they have just compared it in a very beautiful way that the music master's notes seem to be float up and settle perfectly into the invisible tracks of a melody. It was like the wheels of a train fitting smoothly into the rails and whizzing along, as Ravi said. So when this music master was playing the violin, the music notes have given the very beautiful and melodious music that they could hear that music with a very, it was very pleasant. They felt very pleasantly. And here Ravi had compared it as towards you can see here the picture of the train. Ravi had compared the music notes to the beautiful sound, like a how the train smoothly runs on the track. In the same way, here Ravi compared our music master's notes to the train notes, how the train is moving very smoothly with its whistling sound. So it was so smooth. But when compared to our what do we call, Lalli's notes, it was very horrible. They couldn't even hear, and it was very unhappy music. Okay, and our Mridu, she started staring at that huge bearing hand moving effortlessly up the violin stem, making lovely music. So when this music master was making very lovely music with his hand, our Mridu started staring at him, just wondering at him how beautifully he is playing. But when it comes to Lali, the total scenario is changed. Her notes were very different. Even her way of handling the violin was so different that the notes were coming in so terrible noise they couldn't even listen. Squawk! There was Lily drilling again. Amma came away from the gate. Amma, oh. So the moment they were almost into the deep music of our music master, immediately Lily started playing, and they came, just all of them were very alert, and they were about to run. At that time, they have heard a voice by words. Somebody was just shouting, Amma. Okay, they were calling Amma, oh Amma. Let us see who is calling. Okay, he has stumbled in the sense followed haltingly. So here, when the music master is playing the notes, Lalli stumbled behind him. That means Lalli followed him, but in a very terrible way. And whereas our music master, who was bearing himself, we have already discussed that he was wearing a diamond ring. So the master who is wearing a diamond ring was playing the music notes. Okay. When they heard that sound, immediately Rukmini Amma started shouting that Ravi, send that beggar away, cried his mother from the back veranda where she was chatting with Tapi. So in the back veranda, both Tapi is the grandmother here, and the mother of Ravi is Rukmani. Both of them were sitting in the veranda in the backyard, and they were talking to each other when somebody shouted by name, Amma, oh Amma. Immediately she said to Ravi that Ravi, send that beggar away. Tell the beggar to go away. He has been coming here every day for the past week, and it's time he found another house to beg from. Party explained to Thapi. So here, when Rukmani Amma asked Ravi to say to beggar that to go away, immediately Pati started. Pati is also a grandmother of Ravi. She started explaining to Tapi that this beggar was coming to our home every day for the past 1 week. So for the past 1 week, this beggar was coming to our home for food, and now definitely he should find another house. So in this way, she's trying to tell that for the past 1 week we are feeding that beggar. Now it is time that he should go and find some other house. And Mridu and Meena followed Ravi out. The beggar was already in the garden, making himself quite at home. He had spread his upper cloth under the neem tree and was leaning against its trunk, apparently prepared to take a little snooze while he waited for the alarms to appear. Go away, said Ravi sternly. My party says it's time you found another house to beg from. So the moment party said this, immediately Ravi went out the front door to say to beggar to go away, and Mridu and Meena have followed him. And the moment when he was about to say that, he had seen that the beggar was already into the garden, and he went under the neem tree. He just took out his upper cloth and he started spreading under the, see, he had spread his upper cloth under the neem tree. He took out the upper cloth and he had spread under the tree, and he was just leaning against its trunk, just leaning in the sense moving back and just touching to the tree, and he was trying to sleep, take rest until he gets a food from the family. Apparently prepared to take a little snooze. Snooze in the sense here, see here I have given you the meaning here. Snooze in the sense short sleep. So before the family gives him food, he thought of just going under the neem tree and lying under the neem tree and have a little sleep. And while he was doing all that, immediately Ravi went there and said, go away, go away, he said. And now my party said that you have to find some other home to beg from. So by listening to him, what beggar had done, let us see. So up to now the beggar was sleeping under the tree, and Ravi went to the beggar and said that you have to go now because my party said to find another home because there is no food now. By listening to the boy here, immediately the beggar opened his eyes very wide and gazed at each of the children one by one. So how many of them have gone to beggar here? Three of them. Meena, Ravi and Mridu. Three of them have gone to beggar, isn't it? So when he was just leaning back and about to take a short nap, that is sleep, immediately when Ravi said that you should go out now and find some other home, immediately he opened his eyes wide, wide in the sense very big, and he started gazing. Gazing in the sense gazed. What do you mean by gaze here? Looked at. Gaze in the sense look. Look at each of the children one by one. He just looked at the three kids. The ladies of this house, he said at last in a voice choked with feeling, are very kind souls. I have kept my body and soul together on their generosity for a whole week. So while going, he said that the ladies of this house, who are the ladies of this house, Rukmanimma and as well as Pati, they were so kind. What he was saying, they were so kind and they were of so kind souls that they have fed me for the whole week. I have kept my body and soul together on their generosity for a whole week. So I'm so thankful to them that they have fed me for the past 1 week. He was saying, I cannot believe that they would turn me away. He raised his voice. Amma, Amma ho, said his wail might be, but it certainly wasn't feeble. It began in a deep, strong rumble somewhere in his withered belly and came booming out of his mouth with its few remaining teeth strained brown with bitter chewing. So when he was just thinking of himself and saying that the ladies of this house are very kind hearted and they are of very kind soul and they have fed me for the whole week, and somehow I have kept my body and soul together in the sense I managed to stay alive, and now I couldn't believe that they will turn me away. That means they will stop feeding me. Again he just raised his voice and started shouting, like calling them again in a louder voice. Hamma, oh Hamma. In this way just beggars will be calling from outside our home. Na? In the same way here he was calling, and he was just thinking that with a lot of a see. It began in a deep, strong rumble somewhere in his withered belly and came booming out of his mouth with its few remaining teeth stained brown with a beetle chewing. So when he said this kind of Amma, oh Amma, it is almost from his inner heart, and his belly was almost starving, and the voice have come out from his mouth, which was totally of a brown. His teeth was stained, teeth stained with the brown, in the sense all the teeth has become, generally our teeth will be white in color, but his teeth was brown in color because of a beetle chewing. What do you mean by beetle? Beetle leaves and beetle nuts. In Telugu we say tamalapaku, isn't it? So but because of all that eating, his teeth has become so brown that, so from his mouth he was, because of the hunger or the sadness, he started shouting more loudly, Amma, oh Amma. When this beggar was shouting again and again, our Rukmani Amma started saying that, Ravi, tell him there's nothing left in the kitchen. Called Rukmani. So Rukmani Amma started saying that, tell the beggar that there is nothing left in the kitchen and he is not to come again. Tell him that. So, and also she said that, tell the beggar not to come. She sounded fed up. Ravi didn't have to repeat it all to the beggar. What his mother said had been easy for them all to hear. There under the neem tree, the beggar sat up and sighed. So when he was just shouting Amma ho Amma, Rukmani Amma, from the home itself, she started saying that, Ravi, tell the beggar that there is nothing left in the kitchen, and also tell him that not to come again. So he no need to repeat it again to the beggar, because all of them in the sense here, Ravi, Meena and Mridu and even beggar could able to hear it clearly. So Ravi just by the beggar just by nodding his head, he just who was sitting under the neem tree, he just sighed up. That means he nodded his head. Okay, I will go. I will go. He said wearily. So here the beggar said that, okay, however, I have to go and I will go. Only let me have a rest here under this tree. The sun is too hot. The tar has melted on the road. My feet are already blistered. He stretched out his feet to show large pink peeling blisters on the soles of his bare feet. I suppose he doesn't have the money to buy chappals, Mridu whispered to Meena Ravi. Have you got an old pair in the house somewhere? So when Rukmani Amma shouted this, immediately the beggar said that, okay, I will go, but let me stay under this neem tree for some time, because now it is very hot and almost the sun is very hot and the tar has melted. You know what do you mean with tar? On the roads they spread a black material to lay the road, to lay the path. So that tar has been melted a lot, and because of all this heatness, that heat of the tar, my legs will burn a lot. Already my feet are blistered. What do you mean by blistered here? Bubbles or boils on the skin. See, I have given you the picture here. Blisters were formed on the feet. Okay, kind of a bubbles that will be found when we walk, especially on very hot surface. So he said that already his feet were blistered and now he can't walk on that hot road, and he just stretched his feet and showed that large pink peeling blisters on the soles of his bare feet. See here, the feet, the blisters were large and pink, and they were peeling. Peeling in the sense the skin was coming out of that blisters, and it is so painful. And by seeing that, Mridu immediately she felt very bad, and she said to Ravi and Meena that maybe he is not having money to buy chappal. Do you have any pair of a old chappal at home somewhere? She asked Ravi and Meena. So here Mridu asked Ravi and Meena, have you got an old pair of chappal somewhere in the house? When Mridu asked that question, that whether they have an old pair of chappal, immediately Ravi said that, I don't know. Mine are too small to fit his feet, or I would have given them him. And his feet were larger than Mridu's and Meena's. So immediately Ravi said that, I don't know whether the old chappals are there or not, but mine are very small. His feet is very big. You can see the picture of a feet here. The feet of a beggar is very big, and my chappals will not be fit into his feet. That means my chappal size will not be sufficient to him, or else I would have given mine. They were discussing, Mridu and Meena were discussing, and the beggar was shaking out his upper cloth and tightening his dhoti. He raised his eyes and looked fearfully at the road gleaming in the afternoon heat. He needs something on his feet, Meena said. So when they were discussing about whether they have old chapel or what kind of a chapel they can give, when this discussion was going on, this beggar, he just stood up and he started shaking his cloth which he had spread on the floor to sleep, and he tightened his dhoti, and just he was looking at the hot tar road on which he has to walk now. And this Meena, she said very pathetically that no, he needs something now to his feet, or else he can't walk on that hot tar road. And her big eyes filling, it's not fair, shh, said Ravi. I'm thinking about it, blubbering. It's not fair. It's not fair, isn't going to help. In 2 minutes, he'll be frying his feet on the road. What he needs is a pair of chapel. So where do we get them? Come, let's search the house. He pushed Mridu Meena into the house. So when they have seen this beggar, just he was going onto the road, immediately they thought that it is not at all fair for the beggar to go onto the road with that blisters feet, because even normal man when he goes, it is very tough to walk on that hot tar road. Now he's not having chapel, and moreover his feet are totally with the blisters which were almost about to peel off. The skin was coming out of it, and definitely his feet will be fried in that hot tar road. Definitely we should find some chapels to him, they thought, and by saying that, three of them have come into the house to find a chapel. Okay. Just as she stepped into the veranda, Vidhu's eyes fell on the old-looking chapels she had noticed when she arrived. So the moment they entered into the veranda, immediately Vidhu's eyes fell onto the old-looking. Already, when she was coming into the home in the morning, she had seen this old pair of chapel, isn't it? So her eyes had fallen onto this old pair of chapel, and she just whispered to Ravi, whose chapel are those? Whose are those? And Ravi turned and glanced at shabby looking but sturdy old chapel. He beamed and nodded. These are just the right size, he said. So the moment Mridu showed those chapels to Ravi and asked, whose chapel are those? Immediately Ravi said that, yeah, these chapel are the exact size of our beggar's slippers. And by saying that, these are just the right size, he said, and picking them up, Mridu Meena followed him nervously back into the garden. So immediately they have picked the chapel and they have followed to the backyard where this beggar was lying under the neem tree. Here, said Ravi to the beggar, dropping the slippers in the front of the old man. Wear this and won't come back. This beggar stared at the slippers, hurriedly flung his towel over shoulder, pushed his feet into them and left, muttering a blessing to the children. In a minute, he had vanished around the corner of the street. So immediately they have taken those chapels and went to the beggar, and they kept at the beggar, here are the chapels. You just wear these chapels and immediately you go back and never come back here to this home again. So wear this chapel and go and never come back. The children said to the beggar, and immediately the beggar, he woke up and he just took out of all his belongings and he wore the chapel, just gave the blessings to the three children, and he ran into the street and he vanished within a minute. He didn't even turn around. That means he didn't even look back, and within a minute he ran and he was almost vanished. That means he went out of the street. The music master, he came out of the house and he just took an unappreciative look at the three of them who were sitting very quietly. So after the music class, he came out of the look and he was just looking very disapproving, unappreciative, in the sense, see children, I have given you the meaning here, disapproving. That means he is thinking somewhat in a different way, and he just looked at the three children who were sitting very quietly under the neem tree, and they were playing marbles, just they were playing with the stones. And then he started searching for his chapels in the veranda where he had kept them earlier, but now he couldn't find that. And immediately he started shouting, Lali, and where are my chapels? Have you seen my chapels, dear? I have kept it here itself. I remember that I have kept in my chapels here itself. Have you seen my chapel? And when he was asking Lali these questions, Ravi, Mridu and Meena, they were watching very silently Lali and music master, who was searching in each and every corner of the veranda. So when music master asked Lali, both of them started searching here and there of the veranda, and three of them, three of them, Meena, Ravi and as well as Mridu, they were watching these two very silently. He scurried around looking over the railing, crouching near the flower pots. So he ran here and there near the flower pots or between the branches, and he started saying that my chapels were brand new. They were. My chapels were very new. Where were they? I went all the way to Mount Road to buy them. He went on saying they cost a whole month fee, do you know? So he said that he was searching here and there, he couldn't find. Lali, you know, they are really very costly chapels, and I have gone almost to a Mount Road and they were brand new, and it is almost takes a cost of a whole month fee. Yeah, fee of 1 month cost those chapels. So where are those chapels? He was searching. We'll end this part with these children that music master finally have found that his chapels were missing. So now let us see in the next part whether he will find his lost chapel or what will be happening further in the story. Hope you have understood till here, and try to write a classwork, that is the new words and meanings of this lesson. And if you have any doubts, try to contact us so that we will rectify your doubts. The further story we will continue in the next video, children. Hari Om. Thank you.